First question asks you to arrange the following numbers from least to greatest. All right, so from least to greatest, that means we're starting with the smallest number. The smallest number is 7,840, then 78,400, 784,000, then 785,400. All right, next question. Which response correctly tells how the two smallest numbers, which were 7,840 and 78,400, were ordered? Which one of those options is true? Okay, so the correct answer is that 78,400 is 10 times larger than 7,840. How did you know that? How'd you know that, Jacob?
Okay. Because 70,000 is 10 times larger than 7,000.
Exactly. Each one of those digits shifted to the left, got one place value larger, which meant that we just added another 0 at the end of the number. All right, next question. $200,000 is greater than, less than, or equal to 20,000. 100,000 and 20,000. Which one's larger?
200 equal.
200,000 is larger than 20,000. When you take your test, you're going to have, on these problems to compare, you're going to have numbers in unit form. And you're going to have to think about what that value would be. All right, next question. Okay, some of you may have already answered. 5 million is greater than, less than, or equal to 50 hundred thousands. I'm waiting on one person to answer. All right.
Yes. It was equal.
All right, so 50. Let's talk about 50 hundred thousands. What's the value of 50 hundred thousands? 5 million. That extra 5 would regroup and move over to the millions place value to make them equal. You're really going to have to stop and think about the actual value of these numbers. Okay. All right, here's the next one. I want all correct answers. $400,000, 200s, greater than, less than, or equal to 402,000. All right, 400,000s, 200s was what, Caden? Is it less than, greater than, or equal to?
Less than.
It's less than 402,000, and tell us why.
Because the 2 and the 402,000, and then the 2 and the 4,200 is 9.
Very good. In the number on the left, you have 200s, and on the number to the right, you have 2,000s. So the correct answer was less than. All right, the next question. $800s plus 2,000s plus 64 ones is greater than, less than, or equal to 1,000 plus 900s. Think about the value of each of those. All right, so the correct answer to that one is greater than. How did you know that it was greater than, Olivia?
Because
Perfect. There were 2 thousands in the first number and only 1,000 in the second. Very good. All right, next question. A general admission ticket for standing room only to the Dallas Cowboys versus New York Giants game cost $55. A ticket for a middle-level club seat costs 10 times as much. How much does the middle-level club seat cost? 10 times as much as $55 is how much, Alexis?
$550.
$550. Each place value shifts to the left when it gets 10 times bigger. So the 5 tens become 500s. The 5 ones become 5 tens. And then we have 0 ones. All right, next question. Lambeau Field, home of the Green Bay Packers, has a seating capacity of 81,435. What is the seating capacity of Lambeau Field in word form? Hey, remember that when we put a number in word form, we're going to write it just like we would say it. We name all of the thousands together. So there's 81,000. Then we name the units period together, 435. The correct answer is 81,435. Next question. Lambeau Field, home of the Green Bay Packers, has a seating capacity of 81,435. What is the seating capacity of Lambeau Field in expanded form? All right, when we put a number into expanded form, we're going to show the value of each digit. So we have 80,000 plus 1,000 plus 400 plus 30 plus 5. Remember to separate each digit and show its value. All right, next question. Another question about Lambeau Field. This time you're rounding the seating capacity to the nearest 10,000. 81,435 rounded to the nearest 10,000. I asked you to round to the nearest 10,000. What digit do we have in the 10,000s place value?
80,000.
We have 8 10,000s or 80,000. So I've got to decide, is that number closer to 80,000 or to 90,000? How do you know it's closer to 80,000, Caden?
Because I looked over at the 435 and not past 500 yet.
The 1,000 tells us that it's not past 85,000. All right, remember you have to look at what place value it asks you to round to. 4 people rounded it to the nearest 1,000. Why is 81,000 not correct? It asked you to round to the nearest 10,000, not the nearest 1,000. You have to pay attention to that. Next question. Round the seating capacity to the nearest 1,000. 81,435 rounded to the nearest 1,000. This time it asked you to round the seating capacity to the nearest 1,000. So we have 81,000s. We need to decide if 81,435 is closer to 81,000 or 82,000. And 435 is not to the midpoint yet, so it tells us that it's closer to 81,000. All right, next question. We're going to compare the estimates. So we rounded to 80,000 and to 81,000. Right. Yes. All right, so we know that 80,000 is less than 81,000. All right, for this next question, I want you to think really hard about this. We've talked about it before. Which estimate, rounding to the nearest 10,000 or the nearest 1,000, is more accurate? Rounding to which place value gets you a more accurate answer, or one that's closer to the actual number? Okay, rounding to the nearest 1,000 is more accurate because it's closer to the actual number. Anytime we round, if we want to find a number that's closer to the actual number that we have, the smaller the place value we round to, the more accurate it's going to be. So if we rounded to the tens place value, would that be even more accurate than rounding to the thousands?
Yes.
Yes, the smaller the place value, the more accurate. So which one would be more accurate, rounding to the hundreds or rounding to the tens? Which one would it be, Briley? Rounding to the hundreds or rounding to the tens? Rounding to the tens. Which would be more accurate, the millions or the thousands? Thousands. Okay, always the smaller place value gets you a number closer to your actual number. All right, I have this quizzes up in your Google Classroom that you can go to and practice as much as you want between now and Tuesday when you take the test. So you can continue to practice. The questions are going to be very similar to these. They won't all be multiple choice, but they'll be very similar questions. So if you practice this and know and understand how to do these questions, it's really going to help you on your test. I also have a Prodigy practice up. It's in your Google Classroom as well. Both of them have like the little kind of explosion looking thing beside them to get your attention. I did not put them under a topic. I just put them up at the very top. So you can do the quizzes and the Prodigy practice to help you to study for your test next week.